Today's video will be on dividing a quantity into a given ratio. So our learning goals for today are by the end of the lesson you'll be able to divide a quantity in a particular ratio, you'll be able to divide a quantity in a ratio with 3 terms, and you'll be able to find the total quantity from a given ratio. Okay, so key ideas dividing into a given ratio. So we'll think of a ratio in terms of parts. So a ratio of 2 to 3 has 2 parts of one quantity for every 3 parts of another quantity, and if you add that together there's a total of 5 parts. So we've got 2 parts of the first, 3 parts of the second, together we've got 5 parts. Okay, so we're going to use the unitary method to help us solve these kinds of problems. So when you use the unitary method to divide a quantity into a given ratio, there's a few steps that you have to do. The first one is find the total number of parts in the ratio. So you're going to add up each of the parts together. Then you have to find the value of one part. From that value of one part, you can then multiply or divide or do whatever you need to do to find the value required. So for example, a share of $20 in the ratio of 2 to 3. So the first part is find the number of parts in the ratio. So we've got 2 parts of the first for every 3 parts of the second. So we'll add those together, so that's a total of 5 parts. So we know $20 has got to be shared in that ratio. So what did it share? $20 in 5 parts. So $20 equals 5 parts. So if we find the value of one part, we can work out what the value of the 2 and then the 3. So we'll find the value of the 1, so the unit, so 1 part. So divide 5 parts by 5 will give us the value of 1 part. So 1 part, and whatever we do to one side, we have to do the other. So we also divide the $20 by 5. So 20 divided by 5 is $4. So $4 is equal to 1 part. So in our ratio, we've got 2 parts of one and 3 parts of the other. So then we just have to multiply. So 2 parts equals 4 times 2, because 1 part is $4 and we want 2 parts. So it's 4 times 2 and that'll be $8. And 3 parts is 1 part multiplied by 3. So it's $4 times 3, and that's $12. If you want to check your answer to make sure that you're correct, obviously you could go below. I'm just going to the side because I don't have space. So check $8 plus $12. Add those together, it equals 20. Good. So at least we know we're kind of on the right track there. Okay. So another way to divide a quantity into a given ratio is using fractions. So if you don't want to use the unitary method, you can use fractions. So both of these methods are correct. It's just 2 different ways of doing it. So to do the fraction, it's the fraction of the amount required. So it's the number in the ratio over the total number of parts. And then from there you can calculate the amount. So for instance, share $20 in the ratio of 2 to 3. So the fraction of the amount required. So then what we're going to do is the number in the given ratio over the total number of parts. So we know the total number of parts, again, is when we add them all together. So that's 2 plus 3, that equals 5. So if we're trying to work out what 2 parts is, it's going to be 2 over 5, because 2 parts is the number in the given ratio and 5 is the total number of parts. So it's 2 over 5, and we're going to multiply that by the given amount, which is 20, to find out what the 2 parts will be equal to. So in your calculator, you can type 2 divided by 5 and multiply that by 20, and that will give you 2 parts is equal to $8. It's a terrible dollar sign. Okay, and then we can do the same for 3 parts. So 3 parts, again, the number in the given ratio is 3. The total number of parts is 5, and we want to find that for the $20 because that's what we're sharing. So in your calculator, you're just going to do the 3 divided by 5 and times that by 20, and you'll get $12. Again, you can check your answer, add them together, make sure it equals up to $20, which it does. So there we go. So they're the 2 different ways you do it, using fractions or using the unitary method. Okay, so another concept is finding the total quantity from a given ratio. So this is when you're given, 3 parts is equal to $30 or whatever, so how much would 4 parts be? So this is kind of working the other way. So to find the total quantity from a given ratio, you can use the concepts of parts, so like the unitary method, to find the value of one part, and therefore, you can multiply the total number of parts. Or you can use equivalent ratios to find the value of each quantity in the ratio and then add the numbers together to find the total. So there's 2 different ways of doing it. Again, it's really up to you whichever way you prefer. Okay, so let's do some worked examples here. So for A, we've got 54 meters into the ratio of 4 to 5. So let's do it using the unitary method. So total number of parts, we're going to add them together. So the total number of parts is 4 plus 5, and that equals 9. So 54 meters equals 9 parts. So we're going to work out, well, what does 1 part equal? So we divide both by 9. So 1 part, and that's 6 meters. So 6 meters is 1 part. So 4 parts equals 6 times 4, and that's 24 meters. And then in the other part of our ratio, we want to find 5 parts. So 5 parts equals 6 times 5, and that is 30 meters. We can add those together. 30 plus 24 equals 54, so we know that we're correct. So I'll just clear this screen and I'll show you how to do this one using the fractions as well. Okay, so the same question for A. If you want to do it in fractions, the total number of parts, again, we've got 4 plus 5 equals 9. So for the first one, we want to find 4 parts. So it's 4 of the 9 parts. We're going to multiply that by 54. Type that into your calculator. So 4 divided by 9 times 54. That's 24 meters. And then for the 5 parts, so it's 5 of the 9 parts, 54 meters. So it's 5 divided by 9. Ooh, if I press the right buttons, and that will give you 30 meters. And that would be your answer. Obviously, you could write that out in a sentence if you wanted. Therefore, 4 parts equals 24 meters, and 5 parts equals 30 meters. So the ratio is, 24 meters to 30 meters. So there we go. That's the 2 different ways you can do the first one. Okay, so I'll clear that and we'll do B. Okay, so for B, divide $300 into the ratio of 4 is to 1 is to 5. So now we've got 3 different parts. So again, we're just going to work out the total number of parts. So we just have to add them together. So it's 4 plus 1 plus 5, and that equals 10. So then you can use the unitary method or the fraction method. I'll show you both again. It's up to you which one you want to use. So if we do the unitary method, we know that $300 equals 10 parts. So we want to find out 1 part, so we're going to divide both sides by 10. So that means $30 equals 1 part. So then we can just multiply for our ratio. So 4 parts is obviously going to be $30 times 4, which is $120. 1 part, as we already know, equals $30. And then 5 parts is $30 times 5, $150. If you add those all together, so 120 plus 30 is 150, 150 plus 150 is $300. You've got your ratio there. Or again, you could use the fractions method. So total number of parts, add them all together. 10, and then for the first one, 4 parts, that is going to be 4 over 10 times by 300. So in your calculator, you can just type that in. So 4 divided by 10 times 300, it's 120. And then 1 part, 1 over 10 times 300 equals $30. And for 5 parts, 5 over 10 times 300 equals 150 parts. $150, sorry. So there you go. So 4 parts is $120, 1 part's $30, and 5 parts is $150. Again, you can write out a worded answer there just to make it really clear, and work down the page. So where I put those lines, that really should be working down the page, not across the page. I'm just really limited for space here. Okay, I'll clear that. So for C, this is one of the ones where we're given part of the ratio, we need to find the whole. Not the whole, the other part, sorry. So the ratio of boys to girls at a school is 2 to 3. If there are 246 boys at the school, how many girls are there? Okay, so we've got 2:3, and we know the ratio is boys to girls. So we've got boys to girls is 2:3. So we know there's 246. So 246 boys equals 2 parts. So we want to find how many parts is 1, so we can multiply it up. So we're going to divide by 2 to find 1 part, divide by 2. So 246 divided by 2, what's that? 123 equals 1 part. So then we want to find out how many 3 parts is. So 3 parts equals 123 multiplied by 3, and that will give you, what's that? 369. So therefore, there are 369 girls at the school. There we go. So that's using the unitary method there to work out what 1 part is, multiplying it up. So the other way to do that is using equivalent fractions. So 2:3. Oh, hang on, I'll clear the screen and do it the other way. So we can use equivalent fractions as well. So we've got boys to girls, 2:3. So that's 246 is to what? So what did we have to multiply 2 by to get to 246? So you could work the other way. So you do 246 divided by 2 to find out what you multiplied it by. So 246 divided by 2 is 123. Oh, multiplied by, sorry, 123. So if we multiply the other side by 123, we'll get our answer there. Fine. Therefore, there are 369 girls. Okay, so they're the different ways of working out all these different ratios, or dividing quantities into ratios, or finding amounts from a given ratio. Make sure you are confident with this. Rewatch the video again if you need to, and as always, see me in class if you have any questions.